If you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, you've probably already started reading. Maybe it's a news article about a new treatment breakthrough, or a headline claiming a certain food, supplement, or drug reduces your risk. Here's something important to understand. Most people, understandably, only read the headline, and headlines almost never tell you the full story. Let's walk through 8 things to check before trusting any prostate cancer research you come across. The same things researchers themselves check before trusting a study. First, who was actually studied? This is called generalizability. A study might show a promising result, but if it was done on 40-year-olds, does that apply to a 75-year-old? If it was done in one country, or even one U.S. city or state, with a specific racial or ethnic population, diet, or healthcare system, does that apply to you? A study population in Boston may look very different from one in rural Texas or Southern California. A treatment that helped young men with a family history of prostate cancer may not mean much for you if you don't share those characteristics. Always ask, who exactly was in this study, and am I like them? Second, how many people were studied? Sample size matters enormously. A study of 30 patients showing a dramatic result should read very differently than a study of 30,000 patients showing the same result. Small studies can point researchers in a promising direction, but they're far more prone to results that don't hold up once tested on a larger, more diverse population. If a headline says breakthrough, it's worth checking whether that breakthrough came from 20 people or 20,000. Third, was it a randomized control trial or an observational study? This is one of the most important distinctions in medical research. In a randomized control trial, researchers assign people to different groups. One group gets the treatment while the other one doesn't, which helps rule out other explanations. An observational study just watches what happens to people already living their lives. Useful, but it may only show association, not cause and effect. If men who eat a certain food have lower prostate cancer rates, that doesn't mean the food caused it. They may also exercise more or smoke less. Fourth, animal studies are a first step, not a finish line. You've probably seen the headlines like, "Scientists Cure Cancer in Mice." It's easy to feel hope reading one. But mice aren't small humans, and most treatments that work in animal studies never work the same way in people. The headline really means this might be worth studying in people someday, not a cure is coming soon. Fifth, always remember, correlation is not causation. This might be the single most important concept in all of research. Two things happening together does not mean one caused the other. This gets misunderstood constantly in health journalism, and it's one of the most common ways research gets overstated in the news. Sixth, who paid for the study and who stands to benefit? Research funding comes from somewhere: government, universities, nonprofits, or sometimes the company that makes the treatment being studied. That alone doesn't make a study wrong, but it's information worth checking, along with whether the authors have financial ties, like being a paid consultant or holding a patent on what's being studied. Most studies disclose this. It won't tell you if the findings are right or wrong, but it gives you useful context. Number 7, has it actually been vetted, and does the headline match the study? A lot of health news is now based on preprints, studies posted before other scientists have reviewed them, and these can later be corrected or retracted. And even peer-reviewed studies often get flattened into bold headlines that strip away the nuance. A modest result in one small subgroup can become "new treatment slashes risk." Reading only the headline rarely tells you what the new research actually found. That's why it's important to review the actual research yourself. And finally, number 8, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You may come across supplements, emails, or website ads claiming to cure or dramatically shrink prostate cancer, often with words like breakthrough, miracle, or doctors don't want you to know this. However, products based on real, credible, peer-reviewed research almost never talk that way. Legitimate findings are usually cautious, conditional, and specific, not sweeping promises. If a product or claim sounds too confident, too simple, or too good to be true, that confidence itself is often the biggest red flag. None of this means you should stop reading or stop asking questions. Staying informed matters. But research is a tool that needs context to be used correctly. And that context is exactly what often gets lost between the actual study and the headline you see online. This is something I spend a lot of time on with my clients, walking through a study or article together and asking what population was studied, how strong the evidence really is, and whether it applies to your diagnosis. If you've been collecting articles trying to make sense of your options, visit myprostatepath.com to schedule a session, and let's go through them together.